Imagine the instant when two people cross the last threshold of distance. Breath close, hearts pounding, every signal amplified, as if the room itself is holding its breath. In that fragile second, something ancient stirs beneath the surface, older than either name you carry. Not just desire, but the whole underground city of the psyche wakes and hums to life. Archetypes rising from their stone beds, shadows shifting in the corridors, secret vows forming without words. 3 questions flicker like candles in a dark chapel. What declares itself inside a man at the very edge of intimacy? Love, fear, or power? What hidden figure from his unconscious steps forward to guide his hands and heart, his ideal of the feminine or the ghost he has never faced? And why in that exact moment do some men feel overwhelming tenderness while others reach for control? We are about to descend into that mystery. But Jung discovered something even more disturbing. He learned that the moment of union is never just 2 bodies. It's 4 forces: you, him, his shadow, and your shadow, negotiating a contract neither of you may realize you've signed.
Carl Jung observed that intimacy is not a simple meeting of bodies, but a catalytic collision of psyches, where long-buried images rise and speak through sensation. He wrote that when 2 personalities meet, each is changed by the reaction, and in the heat of closeness, the hidden patterns of a life show themselves with startling honesty. In that charged threshold, a man does not merely have thoughts. He is moved by the currents of his unconscious, by the anima that colors his vision of the feminine, by complexes learned in childhood, by a shadow that wants safety more than love. What he calls chemistry is often a rehearsal of an old story. What he calls instinct is sometimes fear in elegant clothing. Jung's central theme is direct. Until the unconscious is made conscious, it directs the scene, and we call it fate. The moment of union becomes a stage where inherited myths audition for the lead role. One part longs to surrender, another to control. One part reaches for tenderness, another demands proof. The body reveals what the mouth refuses to say. Breath quickens at the memory of being chosen or not chosen. Muscles tense around early lessons about power and worth. Yet this is not a verdict. It is an invitation. If we can name the forces at play, we can transform them. When presence is stronger than projection, intimacy shifts from performance to truth, and desire becomes a doorway to integration rather than a detour into repetition. Carl Gustav Jung observed that intimacy is not a simple meeting of bodies, but a catalytic collision of psyches, where long-buried images rise and speak through sensation. He wrote that when 2 personalities meet, each is changed by the reaction, and in the heat of closeness, the hidden patterns of a life show themselves with startling honesty. In that charged threshold, a man does not merely have thoughts. He is moved by the currents of his unconscious, by the anima that colors his vision of the feminine, by complexes learned in childhood, by a shadow that wants safety more than love. What he calls chemistry is often a rehearsal of an old story. What he calls instinct is sometimes fear in elegant clothing. Jung's central theme is direct. Until the unconscious is made conscious, it directs the scene, and we call it fate. The moment of union becomes a stage where inherited myths audition for the lead role. One part longs to surrender, another to control. One part reaches for tenderness, another demands proof. The body reveals what the mouth refuses to say. Breath quickens at the memory of being chosen or not chosen. Muscles tense around early lessons about power and worth. Yet this is not a verdict. It is an invitation. If we can name the forces at play, we can transform them. When presence is stronger than projection, intimacy shifts from performance to truth, and desire becomes a doorway to integration rather than a detour into repetition.
Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Jung's point is simple and brave. If a man has not met the parts of himself he fears, those parts will speak for him in intimacy. He may reach out with tenderness, yet communicate control, because the shadow is trying to keep him safe the only way it knows how. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, there love is lacking. In practice, this means the quality of attention matters more than performance. When a moment is guided by curiosity, consent, and care, power becomes service. When it is guided by insecurity, it becomes a contest. If he is thinking about winning, proving, or owning, love has already left the center of the room. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Fantasy cannot carry a relationship across the threshold. Honesty can. Naming fear, awkwardness, or hunger out loud turns tension into trust, because truth is easier to hold than pretense. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The patterns that repeat are not destiny, they are messages. When they are brought into awareness, the scene changes. Presence replaces projection. Desire stops reenacting old wounds and starts building something real. But Jung discovered something even more disturbing. If we refuse this work, the story repeats with new faces and the same ending.
In Jung's accounts, intimacy exposed the living myths inside a man like torchlight revealing murals on a cave wall. One patient approached closeness as if stepping into a chapel, glowing with devotion until the smallest misattunement cracked the altar. His thought was a plea he could not voice: "Please remain the goddess I need." When the human appeared, he withdrew into chill distance. Another man felt union as a tidal pull that threatened to swallow him. An old mother story hissed that love equals engulfment, so he tightened into control. "If I let go, I disappear." Scene after scene, different partners, the same script. Jung saw that when the inner feminine is not integrated, she becomes either idol or danger, and the body obeys the verdict. Modern research echoes the pattern. Secure attachment brings warmth and mutual pacing. Anxious attachment strains toward reassurance. Avoidant attachment creates distance even while touching. Highly sensitive men register more signals per second, which can turn to overwhelm or to rare depth, depending on self-knowledge and consent. The nervous system delivers its story before the mouth can form words. From these currents, familiar roles appear. The devotional chases perfection. The controller equates safety with directing the dance. The vanisher goes numb to survive intensity. The pleaser performs to prevent loss. Only the attuned remains present. I am here with you.
There is a way through. Name the inner image and call the projections home. Map the rules the shadow enforces. Use active imagination to speak with the guardian who shows up at the threshold. Return to breath and sensation until presence outruns performance. Seal the moment with a brief ritual of consent and longing. One yes, one no, one maybe from each. Watch the difference. The devotional names disappointment and slows, and reverence becomes love. The controller admits fear and invites co-leadership, and power softens into presence. The vanisher sets a gentler rhythm and stays, and distance turns into sanctuary. Two people replace two myths, and desire stops repeating old wounds to begin building something honest. But Jung discovered something even more disturbing, that when a man idolizes the feminine, he demands miracles from a mortal. But he also discovered something more beautiful. When a man befriends his shadow, he gives the feminine in himself and in his partner room to breathe.
If you recognize yourself in these patterns, devotional, controlling, vanishing, pleasing, or learning to attune, take heart. You were not born with these reflexes. You inherited them, practiced them, and you can release them. Your desire is not the enemy. Your unexamined story is. Begin where you are. Breathe, name what is real, ask for the pace and safety you need, and let truth be the doorway back to presence. The moment you choose awareness over performance, intimacy starts telling a new story, one where both of you belong. Now turn inward for a beat. What rises in you at the edge of closeness? I must be perfect. I must be strong. I must not need, or something else entirely. Tell me what you notice, and tell me one small practice you will try this week to turn tension into trust. Your words may be the mirror someone else needs. If this journey into Jung's hidden theater helped you see yourself and your relationships with clearer eyes, subscribe and stay with us. We are building a quiet library of maps for real intimacy, tender, honest, and brave, so you never have to walk these corridors alone. Next time, we turn the mirror toward the other keeper of the threshold, the secret the feminine holds at the door of desire, Jung's guide to the wound of the Anima, and what unfolds when the inner goddess refuses the old script and writes her own. The story is about to widen, and the questions may change how you love. Two lights in a dark room, two breaths weaving, not a conquest, not a test, an invitation. Jung would say, make the darkness conscious, and the moment will become a temple.